Naam or God's name is the central theme of Gurbani. Nanak kehkar keval naam. In the house of Guru Nanak, there is only Naam and Naam alone. Nearly every Shabad talks about the greatness of Naam and the importance of reciting God's name, as well as the beneficial effects of reciting God's name. When topics other than Naam are discussed, they are mentioned only for their ability to enhance our devotion to Naam. For example, rightful living is important because it makes our mind more receptive to dwelling on God's name. Keeping holy company or sangat is recommended because it helps us adopt the habit of reciting God's name. There are a lot of questions on what God's name is and about whether repeating God's name is recommended by Gurbani. Some people say that virtuous living alone is enough, and repeating the name of God is not recommended and does not lead to transformation. They may also go as far to say that repeating God's name is a waste of time. They argue that what is the use of repeating the same word over and over again? To understand this question, we have to understand the mind itself. If we look at our own thought patterns, we will find that they are very illogical and repetitive. Thoughts come uninvited and seem to have a staying power that resists our willpower to send them away. For example, how often are we successful when we try to use our willpower to resist anger or to stop thinking about someone who has hurt us? If our minds were truly logical, then they would see that the amount of pain and suffering someone has caused us and would spontaneously be able to let go of the thought of that person. However, our minds get stuck in repetitive patterns and attachment goes much deeper than the logical mind. The Gurus, knowing this truth of the mind, recommended a method which may seem repetitive, but which is an appropriate cure for the repetitive nature of the mind. Because our mind does not understand logic and does not change its behavior even when it knows the potential harm that can come, repeating the name of God over and over can give the mind a powerful tool to develop a new pattern. When the mind starts to listen to God's name, it may continue to engage in its patterns, but it develops a new pattern which can overpower the deeply entrenched, misery-creating habits of the mind. This is an experiment which can be done by anyone, and the results are tangible. Gurbani is a science of mysticism, and while ethical living is an important part of Gurbani, it is the repetition of God's name which leads to the transformation of the mind. The fruits of repeating God's name are infinite, but include an unshakable sense of peace, which is independent of the ups and downs of daily life, as well as a sense of blissfulness and delight. God's name has the power to transform our life. Some people may ask, why does repetition of one specific word, God's name, have power, and why do other words not have the same power? To understand this, we have to look in Gurbani. There's a specific discipline recommended in Gurbani in which we formally adopt the Guru's teachings. This is called Dikhya or initiation. In the Sikh religion, this initiation happens through the Khande Di Pahal ceremony. While repeating God's name is always beneficial, when we formally hear the name of God from the Guru, in this case the 5 Sikhs who represent the Guru, it has transformative power. For someone who adopts the Guru formally and then recites God's name, the power of God's name is immense and infinite. For such a person, whether they are learned or unlearned, rich or poor, or even the greatest sinner, they become liberated while living. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji gives numerous examples of people who followed this exact method and obtained liberation. Guruji gives the example of Ganika, the prostitute, who was given a parrot by a saint. The saint gave her the name of God and instructed her to teach the parrot to recite God's name. Through the process of teaching the parrot, the very sound of God's name liberated Ganika from the bonds of Maya. Another example given by Guruji is Ajamal, who because of bad association fell into the company of a prostitute. However, upon the advice of a great saint, he named his son Narayan. Through the very repetition of this name revealed by the saint, Ajamal obtained liberation. These two examples illustrate that God's name alone is enough for liberation, even in the absence of scholarly learning or hard penance. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji immortalizes the glory of God's name in his holy verses, Salok Mahalla Nawa. In one salok, he addresses the question of what out of everything is eternal, stable, and permanent. He says, Naam rahyo, sadhu rahyo Gur Gobind. Only God's name, holy persons, the Guru and God will remain. Out of these four, God's name is mentioned first. Why is this? Because it is the common factor among all that is permanent. It is what bestows holiness on a sadhu. It is the crown jewel in the heart of the Guru, and it is the means through which God himself or Gobind is known. There is a powerful statement in Gurbani about those who argue that only practicing virtue is enough. Sooner or later, it leads to pride. Any ethical living or practice of virtue which happens through effort can be absorbed by the ego. For example, being truthful or charitable can quickly become a decoration for one's ego or sense of self. This is why Guruji says in the Nitnem, Man ek na chetas murmana har bisrat tere gun galaya. O mind, why do you not remember the Lord? By forgetting the Lord, all of your virtues will wither away. Repeating God's name has the power to take us beyond the illusion of pride and ego. Where Naam dwells in the mind, there selfishness and egotism cannot exist. Homme nave nal virod hai, doina vase ek thai. Ego and Naam are opposites, and both cannot dwell together. Guruji recognizes ego as the most insidious of the five thieves, and Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji instructs us, Sadho man ka maan tyago, Kaam, Krodh, Sangat Durjan ki, Tante Ehnis Pago. O holy ones, renounce the pride of the mind, renounce lust, anger, in the company of those with bad habits, day and night. Even holy people who walk the path of God can fall victim to pride and ego, of which the only cure is God's name. With busy lives and limited time, another question which arises is, wouldn't the time that we spend repeating God's name be better spent in service of the poor and needy? People may argue that repeating God's name is a selfish act, and that same time could be used to serve society. To answer this, we have to look at the overall purpose of Gurbani. It is true that selfless service or seva is an integral part of Sikh teaching. However, can a mind which is engrossed in pride and vanity be capable of selfless service? According to Gurbani, the greatest service that we can perform is to recite God's name and to inspire others to recite it. Why is this? Ultimately, no matter how much we try to serve society, our misery, and hence the misery of the world, will persist unless we are free of the ego. And freedom from the bondage of ego and pride, according to Gurbani, can happen through Naam. Once we enshrine God's name within our heart, then whatever we do will be in service of the greater good. It will be true seva or selfless service. This is why Gurbani constantly emphasizes the importance of Naam above all else. Nanak keh kar keval naam.